I still remember the sound of her laughter, sharp as glass breaking. It was a Saturday morning 6 years ago, and I'd hauled crates of homemade brownies, lemon bars, and mini cheesecakes to the rundown community center on Maple Street. I'd spent the week perfecting recipes, testing frosting consistencies, and lining up donations for our small-town animal shelter. My best friend, Mara, helped me set up the folding tables beneath a banner that read, "Sweet treats for wagging tails." We'd laid out doilies, hand-lettered price tags, and even printed little flyers about adoption events. By 10 a.m., a handful of neighbors, mostly retirees with kind eyes, had dropped by for coffee and crumbly justice. Then he showed up. I'd seen him around town, Will Harper, the scion of Harper's Hardware, and the kind of guy who looked half asleep even at 8 a.m. He strolled past the tables in his crisp white polo and pressed chinos, stopped, and regarded the spread as if it were an art installation rather than a charity bake sale. "Brownies," I offered. My voice sounded small next to his breadth. 50 cents each. He picked one up, weighed it between two fingers, then dropped it back without a word. The table wobbled. Mara shot me a worried glance. He laughed then, a low, indulgent chuckle. "You really expect people to pay for homemade brownies these days?" He smirked. "I can buy a bakery's worth at Publix for half that. Why would anyone pay you?" Heat flared in my cheeks. "It's for the animal shelter," I said. "Every cent goes to help." He shook his head, turning away. "Good luck with that." And just like that, he was gone, laughing echoing behind him. I sank onto a plastic chair, flinching at the sting in my ears. Mara brought me a glass of lemonade, sliding into the seat beside me. "Ignore him," she said softly. "He's clueless." But I couldn't shake his laughter. All morning, customers trickled by, casting sympathetic looks. Our total by noon was just $14.75. We wrapped up early, tired and deflated. As I packed away the half-empty containers of desserts, I thought, next time I'll do it better. Or maybe I'll just stop trying. Over the next 4 years, I kept baking. Small community fundraisers, birthday parties, holiday markets. I refined my recipes and built a modest following on Instagram under the handle @sugar4a-cause. My followers loved the cute packaging I designed and the heartwarming captions about supporting local shelters. I started donating a portion of every custom order to animal charities, too. Will Harper's name came up occasionally in town gossip. He'd inherited his family's hardware empire, but critics said he was aloof, more statue than civic leader. He rarely showed up to local events, but at least he stayed out of my way. Then in mid-October of this year, I got a call from Marlene, the director of the Blue River Women's Center, asking if I'd cater the annual fundraising gala. It was the big one. They had silent auctions, a 3-course dinner, speeches by the mayor. I swallowed hard. Catering a gala would be a massive undertaking, but the center needed the money, and I needed to prove that my little bake sale beginnings hadn't been a fluke. I agreed, heart pounding. Over the next month, I scaled up, lined up sous chefs, rented chafing dishes, developed a menu of bite-sized lemon tarts, chocolate mousse spoons, mini apple galettes, and red velvet cake pops. I practiced plating them attractively. For the first time, I negotiated a contract price and had it signed. $5,000 plus a donation of 10% of profits to the center. I felt terrified and exhilarated. This was my chance. The night of the gala, I arrived at the Grand Willow Hall in my best black trousers and tailored blouse, carrying the first fleet of platters. The chandeliers sparkled. Servers in crisp white shirts bustled around waiters in bow ties. Soft jazz played, and the scent of warm bread drifted from the kitchen. I set up my station along the buffet line, arranging desserts like little sculptures. A red velvet cake pop here, a lemon tart there, dollops of crème fraîche on the mousse spoons. The center director, Marlene, approached, her smile warm but her eyes scanning me critically. "This looks wonderful, Sophie. The guests should love these." I took a deep breath. "Thank you." My jaw dropped as I heard a familiar, clipped voice behind me. Sophie Langford. I turned to find Will Harper, looking unexpectedly at ease in a dark suit, untucked shirt collar. "I heard you were catering tonight. Didn't expect you'd actually pull it off." I squared my shoulders. "I did. 4 years of practice. I'm glad you came to see for yourself." My voice sounded firmer than I felt. He smirked, leaning on the edge of the table. "I'm here for the fundraiser." His eyes flicked to the desserts. "You've got mousse spoons. I used to think only amateurs offered chocolate in a metal spoon." He paused. "Let's see if these taste nearly as good as they look." My stomach lurched. but I refused to give him the satisfaction of a wince. Help yourself. He selected a mousse spoon, tasted it, and paused. He tried another. This is impressive. I pressed my lips together. Thank you. He raised an eyebrow. Might want to serve more of these quicker. They're disappearing fast. He swiveled away, in search of an early adopter. I watched him weave through the crowd as people gravitated to my desserts. A woman in a sequin dress grabbed a plate and whispered, "Oh my gosh, these are addictive." Someone else took a cake pop and murmured, "Best red velvet ever." I stifled relief and turned to Mara, who was orchestrating the dessert station with the ease of a conductor. She winked. By 10 p.m., the gala was humming, auction paddles raised in fast successions, the mayor's speech drawing applause, the live band tuning up for post-dinner dance music. Marlene found me by the platter of lemon tarts, everyone gone. "Sophie, these have been a hit. We've raised $200,000 so far, our best year ever." My chest swelled. "I'm thrilled." She glanced sideways, and Mr. Harper seems converted. She offered me a conspiratorial smile. "I heard him telling the mayor your mousse spoons were his new favorite dessert." I marveled at how far I'd come, from $4 and change at a bake sale to being the reason a fundraiser soared past its goal. But my mind flicked back to that first day, to his laughter echoing in my ears. The memory still stung, but now it felt like fuel. He found me again near the exit, just as the final guests were leaving. He held a single lemon tart on a small plate, looking both sheepish and determined. "Could I have a word?" I nodded, setting aside the empty platter. He cleared his throat. "I owe you an apology. I was wrong." He dipped his head. "Too sensitive for tech, too sensitive for a bake sale. I was dismissive of what you were doing. I thought it was quaint, but tonight you elevated this event." I tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. "Thank you. It was important to me." He offered me the tart. "I didn't want you to leave without trying my favorite. It's the lemon tarts." I hesitated, then took it. The cool zing of lemon and flaky crust reminded me of why I kept baking. "They're good," I said. "More than good, they were perfect." He nodded. "Listen, I've been distant from the community. This fundraiser, your desserts, they reminded me what my family built this town on. Not just hardware and supplies, but support. Coming together." My throat tightened. "Thank you." He exhaled. "Would you consider partnering on our family's end-of-year fundraiser? I want you to be the official dessert caterer." My heart thudded. "I'd be honored." He smiled, relief brightening his eyes. "Great. I'll call you tomorrow to set details." As he melted back into the crowd, I closed my eyes, savoring the moment. The laughter that once sharpened like a blade had dulled into a memory. In its place rose something new. Respect, community, and the realization that perseverance and a good lemon tart could turn a skeptic into an ally. I slipped my phone from my pocket, typed a quick message to Mara. "We did it." She replied instantly. "You rocked it, boss." I glanced at the empty hall, at the decades-old stone walls still echoing with music. I thought of every disaster batch of cookies, every disappointment, every small victory that led here. And I understood. Fully, sometimes the sweetest success is the one you bake yourself, one tart at a time. Tomorrow I would call Will and start planning a new fundraiser. But tonight I stood in the Grand Willow Hall, biting into that lemon tart, and let the thrill of possibility wash over me. The next morning, I woke to a text from Will at 7:15 a.m. "Sophie, thanks again for last night. Coffee at Harper's Cafe in 20?" I blinked. Heart light. Who was this guy? My high school tormentor turned Thanksgiving savior. I smiled and replied, "See you there." Over steaming lattes and freshly baked croissants, Will unfolded the plan. It was ambitious. A winter gala on the frozen town pond, glowing lanterns on the ice, a live band in the pavilion, kids skating races by torchlight, and of course, a grand dessert station by Sugar for a Cause. He slid a tablet across the table, showing mocked-up posters, Harper's Pond Skating Spectacular and Dessert Extravaganza. I leaned in, scanning the layout, turquoise backdrops, silver snowflakes, silhouetted skaters. Everything felt perfectly festive. "This is beautiful," I said. "You've thought of everything." He shrugged, stirring his coffee. "I realized last night that my family's reputation isn't just the hardware store, it's about gathering people together. This event can bring the whole town out, funds for shelter and for scholarship funds at the high school. I nodded. A 2-for-1 benefit. Animal shelter and student awards. I poked at a butter-soaked flake. Let's do it. He grinned. Fantastic. I'll book permits and the band. Will you handle desserts and event flow? I tapped my pen against the croissant plate. And make sure no one's ever too full for a brownie? He laughed. A warm, genuine sound. Exactly. Over the next 6 weeks, Will and I spent late evenings on video calls and weekend site visits. He measured the pond's length, sketched where the lanterns would hang, lined up the town band, and coordinated with the Chamber of Commerce. I developed menu prototypes, themed for an ice gala. Northern Lights parfaits, with blueberry compote and whipped vanilla cream, hot toddy brownies, spiced with cinnamon and ginger, miniature snow globe lemon, meringue tarts with white chocolate shavings. During tastings at my kitchen table, he offered cream-spattered critiques. Maybe a little less ginger, or what if we swirl the blueberry compote so it looks like the aurora borealis? We sampled endless variations until each dessert felt both inventive and approachable. He'd scribble notes on napkins. I'd laugh at how meticulously he filled out my recipe tech sheet, a corporate planner turned pastry sous chef. At the town hall meeting where permits were granted, I stood beside him at the microphone. I heard echoes of his first laughter 6 years ago, but this time it was under my voice, cheering me on as I presented the event timeline. When I finished, the room burst into applause. Will caught my eye, his face bright with pride. On the Tuesday before the gala, I orchestrated a dress rehearsal at the pavilion. He arrived with his arms loaded with wood crates of lanterns and strings of lights. We climbed ladders together, looping bulbs overhead, draping pennants between birch trees. When the last line of lights clicked on, the empty pavilion glowed like a jewel box against the darkening sky. Will handed me a steaming mug of cider. We did it. I took a sip, the spice warming me from the inside out. We did. Gala day dawned crisp and clear. Guests arrived bundled in mittens and scarves. Children's laughter rang as they skated around the pond. The band played jaunty holiday tunes beneath a cascade of ice blue lights. Food trucks lined the far side near the bonfire, but everyone gravitated toward my dessert station under the pavilion. I watched in awe, as crowds wove between tables. People snapped photos of the Northern Lights parfaits, calling them magical. Dads dunked hot toddy brownies into cocoa for the kids. Teens circled back for seconds of snow globe tarts. Even the mayor lingered, nodding appreciatively. Then I saw her, Mrs. Alvarez, my 4th-grade teacher, approaching with her husband and granddaughter. I'd brought extra flour cookies in her honor. She tapped my shoulder. Sophie, these are divine. You've outdone yourself. Her praise made me choke up. I excused myself briefly, slipping behind the buffet to pinch my lip and steady my breath. Mara darted up, handing me a peppermint stick. You're killing it. I laughed through tears. I can't believe this is real. She hugged me. 4 years ago, you almost quit. Look at you now, queen of the ice gala. I shook my head, incredulous and elated. Halfway through the evening, Will found me by the rink's edge. He looked out at the swirls of skaters, lantern-lit laughter drifting into the crisp air. A hush fell as he cleared his throat. Can I say a few words? I nodded. He climbed onto a small stage and tapped the mic. Thank you all for coming to the Harper's Pond Skating Spectacular. This event wouldn't be possible without one person, Sophie Langford. He gestured to me. Sophie's desserts raised the funds for our local animal shelter and the new Harper Scholarship for graduating seniors. She started with a simple bake sale that no one believed in. Tonight she created magic. He paused, eyes on me. Then he said, I'm sorry I laughed at you 6 years ago. Your kindness, creativity, and perseverance have not only fed our bellies tonight, but strengthened our community. A roar of cheers rose, and I felt tears prickle. He hopped down, hands full of lanterns. When he reached me, he smiled shyly. Come light a lantern with me. We released a paper lantern together, watching it float up among dozens, carrying silent wishes for shelter animals and scholarship students. I reached for his hand. This is perfect. He squeezed it, just like you. At the end of the night, as guests drifted off with jars of leftover cookies, for later, I packed the last of the crates into my car. Will walked beside me, lantern still aglow in his hand. So, he said, voice low, ready to take this show on the road next year. I hear Oak Grove wants to join, and Maple Falls might too. I grinned, keys in hand. Let's do it. He paused beneath the frozen pond's arched bridge. You know, I've been thinking, instead of Nackerton Cookie Company, maybe it should be Sugar for a Cause. The Touring Gala Edition. I laughed. I love it. I looked at him, grateful for the journey from mocking laughter to creative partnership. Where to first? He asked, eyes bright with possibility. I tapped my temple. Wherever there's a need and a rink. He chuckled, and we climbed into his car. As we drove away, the pavilion's lights receded behind us, lanterns bobbing like stars over the ice. I pulled out my phone and snapped a quick photo of the empty rink, captioned, 6 years ago, $14.75 and a dream. Tonight, $50,000 raised, hundreds of smiling faces, and a community glowing under lantern light. If someone tells you no, keep baking. #Sugar for a Cause, #touring gala. I hit post and felt a thrill, not just of pride, but of gratitude. My desserts had done more than fill bellies. They had built bridges, healed old wounds, and reminded a whole town what kindness and perseverance could accomplish when lit by a simple lantern glow. As we turned onto the highway, headlights cutting through the night, I leaned against his shoulder and whispered, "Thank you for believing in me." He kissed my forehead. "Always." And with that, we drove onward into the crisp winter night, ready for the next rink, the next fundraiser, and the endless possibilities that followed a bake sale and a second chance.